Good mornings, Titans Nation. Welcome back into another edition of the Morning Glory Show. I hope you're shit showered and shaved. I hope you got your mayo in your cup because it's time to tighten up. If you're checking us out for the first time, do us a couple favors. If you're on Twitter, hit that like and retweet button, and then head over to YouTube, type in Glory Day Sports. Join us in the live chat so you can join the conversation and drop your questions in the chat below. I am your host, as always, Jake Robertson. Follow me on socials at Glory Day Sports. And I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, as always, Jonathan Miller at Esports Valen and B-Will at B-Will TFTV and at TFTV Sports. How are we doing today, boys?
Great, man. Great. Weather's nice. Summer's getting underway. Practice is going.
Good day for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's football weather. Football weather. Today is the last day of a mandatory minicamp, and then we'll get a little bit of break before we come back next Monday for the last little edition of OTAs. I believe it's Monday through Thursday. But we did kick off mandatory minicamp, so we'll talk about it. Not spotted at practice via our friend of the show, Teron Davenport, Colton Dow, Shaheem Carter, Anthony Kendall, Nicholas Petit-Pierre, Tavondre Sweat, TK McClendon, and Jeffrey Simmons. So Sneed was out there, but only went through stretching and the walkthrough, basically, and then worked on his own side. Sweat and Sneed Denias are already out in the woodworks, taking those victory laps after missing two practices in June, nonetheless. Do either of you see any comments or legitimate concerns with either of those two at this point?
No, I don't. I mean, people that are complaining about Sneed not practicing, I don't know if they were aware of last year with the Chiefs and how much he practiced with the Chiefs historically. It wasn't much. So, he'd be just fine. I mean, this is what happens when you have veterans. I mean, Hopkins didn't really practice much, and that was under Vrabel. So I think people are going to see a lot more with this new regime. They're not going to practice even more than they did before under the Mike Vrabel regime, because Vrabel was one of the guys. He was a proponent of practicing and it being very important, while Callahan himself is coming from Cincinnati, and it's sort of documented that their practices aren't as strenuous as what we're used to there. So they're here now. So yeah, exciting to see with Sneed and Sweat. Now, I'm not worried about Sweat as long as we got some stipulations in that contract.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all. I think everybody, like, this time of year is tough. People who are creating content are grabbing at straws, like, oh, what can we talk about? Especially the media that's there. I don't really pay too much attention to this time, especially like the voluntary type of OTAs. Like, obviously it's important this year. You have a new head coach, a new system, new coaches all together. So, would like to have guys like Jeff and Sneed out there. I think I read something that said that they were available. They were out there for team activities, and then they had their own side walkthrough stuff, and then they went back inside. So regardless, I mean, it's nothing worth really buying too much into at this point. We get into mandatory minicamp or training camp and stuff like that. We'll see.
I think it's worth saying that everybody was there at the facility too, if I'm not mistaken.
100% attendance, which exactly. I don't remember the last time we had that from day one. Obviously, you would like to have both of them out there on the field, but that's not going to be the case, especially with Sweat. He's dealing with something minor. They said, hey, it's a 2-week timeline. He's probably going to be out there next week. We haven't seen him since rookie minicamp. That's perfectly fine. He's working on his weight, and there's been all this talk. Well, maybe it's with the contract issue and the weight clauses. They pretty much came out and said it from the get-go. Hey, if you're overweight, it's going to cost you money. So we knew that was going to be stipulations of contracts. I don't think that was a huge issue. And then Sneed, Zach Lyons, he did a great job as soon as the trade happened, basically saying, hey, he was out there as a full participant almost never. And he was limited just a little bit more or a little less than that. The dude is ready and out there on Sundays, and that's the only thing that fucking matters to me. That's the only thing. And he's a proven pro. He's earned that seniority rest day. I'm perfectly.
It goes back to what we talked about last week with, method wise and player wise. These practices, these NFL practices, especially once you get into the season, it's not really much technique, if any. They're going through schematic things. So, I'm not worried about it.
No. And Jannard, he even stated this as well. I mean, he's like, basically, we're running a very similar system to what Kansas City was doing out there. He's going to line up there in man coverage and press. You don't have to relearn those things. Perfectly fine with that. I think my biggest standout from just reading the reports and seeing the little clips that the Titans have been putting out there, the biggest surprise is probably Jack Gibbons. Dr. Gibby, no longer Dr. Gibby. He's just Gibb now. But we saw his name pop up a lot of times. He did pick off Will Levis in the red zone in 7-on-7 periods. He was later asked from TD about the green dot and how fans are just overblowing it. Pretty much just said, hey, we're going to put the guys in the right position to be as successful as they can be. So Coach Cali even came out and praised Jack's leadership, command of the defense, and how you don't have to be a high-end athlete to play inside linebacker in this league. I don't know if I agree with that, but my question to you, Jonathan, is this team telling us that we have our inside linebacker too? And what is our confidence level going into week 1 against Chicago if it is Jack Gibbons and K9 Kenneth Murray at 1 and 2 at inside linebacker?
Did we just get a nickname there?
K9 Kenneth Murray?
He's been K9 since Oklahoma. Yep.
That's some Oklahoma shit. He wouldn't dub that by us.
I like K9.
That's all right.
So I don't know. I think they're telling us what they can tell us at this stage in the offseason. Do I think that they're going to add other linebacker depth? I'm not so sure that they will. I think that they're probably going to go into the season with the handful of guys that we have now. Is there like a fifth guy like potentially in there? Probably not. Like, to me, it's probably Jack Gibbons. It's Cedric Gray. It's K9, James Williams. And that's probably it, right? Like, am I missing a key?
You're not wrapping up Otis Reese. He is.
Yeah, so Otis Reese is another one that I'm not. I knew I was going to miss one. It's early, guys. So yeah, I can't imagine that they're taking more than 5 backers into the roster, into the 53. Probably only 4. One of those guys probably doesn't even make that 53. But yeah, I don't think that there's it's probably the position that I'm the most concerned about, if I'm being honest, just because there's a lot of unproven talent there. Good talent. Like, I'm a big fan of Cedric Gray. I think he's going to be a starter. But I think there's probably going to be a rotation at inside linebacker. But I don't feel great about it. No. And I don't necessarily think that there's any talent on the free market that they could add that would make that difference, nor do I necessarily think that they need it. Like, I think Cedric is going to be a stud. I think he's going to be a bona fide starter, and I think you just rotate some of those other guys in. But Jack Gibbons, I mean, we've always known he's a smart player. That's kind of what he hangs his hat on, and you do need, intellect at that position, definitely, especially when you were kind of calling the defense, if you will. So I could see him wearing the green dot, but I think it's probably going to go to Cedric Gray long term, maybe early on for Jack Gibbons, but I don't know. I don't think I'm not like reading too much into the Jack Gibbons like smoke at this point. It doesn't impress me that you had an interception in 7-on-7s. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, just not huge on it.
I think we need to find out who blew this out of proportion, this green dot stuff. I mean, we need to find out which part of the media, which person caused this ruckus about a damn green dot. I mean, they're regurgitating the play from the defensive coordinator. And the huddle is right there. Defensive huddles are the shortest huddles in football. I mean, you got a longer huddle when kids are playing outside than defensive huddles. I mean, they're telling them the coverage and they're telling them what we're running up front, or we're lining up and what we're running. So, I mean, give me a break. But with Gibbons, I agree with him that you don't have to be uber athletic to be a successful backer in this league, right? And the linebacker position itself is really predicated, and if you're really good up front and you're front 5, and then you're really good in the back, that linebacker position turns into a luxury position somewhat. And I'm going to tell you why. So if you're good up front, they're going to clog all the gaps. They're going to get penetration. The linebacker, all they got to do is fill a hole. All they got to do is be around the ball to make a tackle, right? That's something they've done all their life. If you're good on the backside with safeties and corners, then all linebackers have to do is either send pressure or drop back into a hook curl or run into the flat. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're going to have linebackers running down the field covering Travis Kelce. We've got safeties that are doing that. They're going to be covering running backs, but even then you'll have a nickelback that might cover a running back. So if we're going to talk about importance in position, especially when we're talking about the rebuild that we had to do defensively because we were bad, we took care of the priority positions first. You're not going to go and get the best linebacker on the market when you had a hole get the size of the construction site at corner or D line in particular. I wouldn't even want them to focus on linebacker next year until they get edge sorted. You know what I mean? So it's really predicated on what's around them, the linebacker wise. I mean, they put these guys in a position, but their success is predicated on what's around them more than anybody else on the field defensively. You know, we get the offense, it's a whole different story, but I'm not really worried about the linebacker position. I just want guys that are dogs that'll fly around, that'll smack shit. And so that's Otis Reese and that's Murray. And as long as we make things simple for them, that'll be just fine.
They addressed it. They did. They took a top 100 player at the position, in my opinion, probably a top 70, 75 player. So that's the thing. Like, I think that it's easy to kind of overlook Cedric because he was a 4th-round pick. But, I mean, this guy was a bona fide almost 4-year starter, right? Like, he is him. And he's been doing it at the position that we drafted him. And he brings such a wide skill set to that position. So the one thing that does give me a hint of optimism for this inside linebacker group is that you have K9, who is a dog on a leash. You pull him off the leash and you let him go, right? Like sideline to sideline, this guy is going to get to it. And then you have guys like Jack Gibbs and maybe Cedric Gray who offer more of a coverage, instinctive type of backer who is going to give you a more well-rounded look, right? So I'm okay with what they did at the position. I really like Cedric Gray. If we had a 3rd-round pick and taken him with a 3rd-round pick, I would have been happy. So I'm not upset, and I don't think that it wasn't addressed necessarily. I just think that the group as a whole seems not very good on paper, which is fair. So we'll see what they can put it together. Looking forward to getting some more thoughts on camp. There's a couple of rookies that I think are worth talking about that have done well in mandatory OTAs.
Yeah. When I said address, I was more along the lines of the people that are wanting a Patrick Queen or something before we got secondary.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it's wasteful.
Sure. Yeah.
Wasteful.
Well, I think those are good points. Just because when the Titans were at their best on defense, it was against the run. And we've been that way for years under Mike Vrabel. And when that really took a turn was when, love him or hate him, Tierra Tart stepped back. When he lost that step, that's when the defense kind of turned to caca. But now we bring in Tavondre Sweat and Sebastian Joseph Day to pair with Jeffrey Simmons. That should make the linebackers' jobs that much easier. And then we're talking about Jack Gibbs. Going back to that clip that the Titans posted where he did make the interception on Whlye'd. So we look at who was the personnel that was on the field at that point in time. And I went and slowed down and looked at player numbers just to see who was out there. And, of course, it was the first-team offense, we have to assume, with Will Levis. Tony Pollard was out there. Traylon Burks was the target on that pass. And then Dr. Gibbons was out there at number 50, Chance Campbell, and then Eric Garrer were on defense. So that was second, third team on defense. So I'm not looking too much into them looking at Jack Gibbons as a starter. And I've said it 1,000 times at this point.
That's practice.
I've used this. Yeah, that's practice. But we're looking at that, and I think this is a linebacker by committee approach. I think we're going to see Kenneth Murray out there on first down, and it might be Jack Gibbons out there on first down. And then we get into those passing situations where they can bring out Cedric Gray and James Williams or Otis Reese, whoever. I think we're going to get a lot of rotation there, and they're going to do a lot of different things from just protecting the run, blitzing. They're going to come off, and they're going to head off the edge. They're going to drop into the flat. They're going to man up on a tight end. They're going to do a lot with this defense, and it's going to keep it very multiple based. So I don't see an issue with it. And going back to Gibbons, I think we're just slowly erasing him from our minds. He comes into the league as an undrafted free agent. He was Jack Gibbons. And then we shortened that name to Dr. Gibby. And I went back to a post from Sam Phelan in last September where they're like, it's just Gibby now. He said, I don't know what happened. And now it's just Gibbs, and then it went to Gibb. So we're slowly just erasing the man from this roster, which is what we need to do as we progress with these undrafted free agents that have been left over from this previous regime. We're improving. We're getting there, but it's going to take some time.
We've got one that was getting some prop on the timeline yesterday. Nick Westbrook-Akina. They said, could he be the Tyler Boyd replacement?
Okay.
Somebody said that. June. I forgot who it was.
I don't remember. I remember seeing the
and
post,
I'm not shitting on who said it, but I saw it on my timeline and I exited the app. So,
No, I was in my deep in thoughts the other day. Man, you look at
didn't even get a
these
chance.
relative athletic scores of Tyler Boyd coming out, runs a very high 4.55, and then you come into Nick Akine. They're both around 205, 210. They're both 6'2", 6'3", slow, I would say, off the line. Nick NWI showed some speed last season that I hadn't seen before, and hopefully he can continue to prove that. And I was like, this guy's been pushed out to the edge and on the perimeter his entire career, and he's only had Rob Moore as his wide receiver coach since entering the league, and he came out of Indiana where I'm sure he didn't have great coaching at the wide receiver position either. We're going to start this new coaching staff, and I was like, okay, maybe he can learn from Tyler Boyd. Maybe that can be his mentor, and then we can kind of see maybe some slot play from him. We already know he's maybe the best run blocking receiver that we have on this roster. He's just kind of showed that, and that means shit here in the league, but it's still something. So I was like, all right, maybe we got something there. Maybe we're just gonna. I'm not gonna rule it out, is what I said.
I think that's not fair to Tyler Boyd, to be honest. I don't like that comparison, only because I get the comparison.
People did, looking at the comments.
Yeah, I understand why someone would draw that comparison based off of their frame, right? Like I get it, like similar build. But Tyler Boyd, what makes him so special to me is that he has a smoothness to his movement that is almost, I don't want to say it's unmatched, but it's like for a guy at his size and for what he does, excuse me, in the slot, he has like the way he runs his route. It's so smooth. Like it's kind of slow, but he's so smooth that he just gets in and out of breaks really easily and efficiently. And his catch radius is huge. I don't know. I don't know about that comparison. I think it makes sense looking at their frame, but just because a dude looks like a dude, I mean, trailing.
Guess who did the comparison, Jonathan?
Who was it?
Jake the Snake.
Who? Mike Jones? No. We're talking comparisons. We're actually going to give some great comparisons here in a little bit that are a lot better than Tyler Boyd and
this guy.
Bro, it's even funnier because you were like, I saw that yesterday. Who was that?
I'm telling you, I exited out the app.
I thought you knew.
No, I didn't. I promise you. I exited out the app so fast I didn't see who did it.
He didn't say anything. He just sat there.
No, he acted like somebody else did it. That's the problem.
Yeah, who was that?
No, I thought you were being I thought you knew. Okay,
oh my god, that's
awesome.
hilarious.
But yeah, we got some good player comps that we're gonna put out here in a little bit. We got a little bit more to dump into. But if you guys are checking out this first time again, make sure you join people like Bethany King and MB in the chat. Good morning, tighten ups to everybody in the chat. But I guess we can give some little O-line talk. It's been reported that these linemen are going to get out there on the move under big coach. So that's going to be lots of power, pin and pull. We're going to get some outside zone in there. It's going to be very multiple based, just like we were talking about with the defense. Hearing this, though, does this change your opinion on who you view at the right guard / right tackle position? Let's go and start with you, B. Will.
Man, big coach is putting fire under their ass. Raiden said the first time he talked to him, he said, "You're going to right guard, buddy." So, but it makes sense. And you are a guard, sir. And Raiden's put on the weight. With that being said, and he looks a lot bigger and bulkier. So I mean, he took what he said and he did well with it. But I mean, it's looking like Sadiq Charles, to be honest, at right guard. And you know, I'm not too mad about it, especially because that's one of the guys that Callahan brought in himself, and it's somebody he knows. It's a proven commodity, and he has an idea for him. I just love the fact that we have good competition in the room now. You know what I mean? And it's not just a competition between a guy that was undrafted and then a late round pick or a project and a late round pick. You know, we've got competition between a guy that Callahan himself somewhat handpicked to bring in based off who's available, and then a former first round pick in Dylan Radins who has talent, and he's not just a scrub. He's got or second round pick. Yeah, he was a high second, wasn't he? Yeah, second round pick. That is uber athletic. I mean, one of the most athletic tackle prospects in the last few years. Radins was so, you know, with his RAS score, but you know, I'm excited to see that, and that makes sense. Why, if we're going to be moving so much, you need a guy who's uber athletic at the at the guard spot. And Skoronski's pretty athletic for the guards too. So Latham, I can't wait to see him on pin and pull concepts. He's going to destroy corners, DBs out there. I mean, it's going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, I think the right guard spot actually kind of surprised me. I assumed that there was going to be competition at every position, right? But I honestly didn't think that Brunskill did not enough to earn that spot until I started to see the competition, right? Because like guys like Shadiq Charles and Dylan Radins weren't necessarily jumping off the paper for me. Radins I had pinned as like, man, who knows where they're going to plug him in. But I am happy that Bill Callahan has essentially come in and been like, okay, you're doing this. We're going to have you here. Like, and Brunskill straight up said in his presser, I think it was yesterday or the day before, he's like, yeah, they're having me plugged in at center behind Whlye'd. And, it's just an open competition essentially at right guard. So I think that's super healthy. The right side desperately needs the best two players to play. It's a little disappointing that MPF is still not out there playing. And it's, a little disappointing to see some guys like not get the work that they need early on. Cause let's be honest, like if NPF had that large gap from the suspension where he didn't play in practice and it clearly affected his game, basically the entire year, the entire time he played before he got hurt again. So yeah, the right guard, I feel pretty good. I like the competition, big fan of how that's coming together. And man, the Bill Callahan effect just continues to pay dividends. This guy seems like the biggest asset to our team, player or coach, because we were hyping Bill Callahan up when we saw the hire because like, man, there's going to be such a big difference. But boy, it seems like these poor guys weren't even getting coached. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like the way that these guys are talking, you're like, damn, who was coaching you guys? Which is fair. Jason Hoteling was a brand new offensive line coach. I think he transitioned to a different position group. But yeah, it's good to see, and I'm really, really high on what some of these like lesser talent guys can do, especially Radins. I think when it's all said and done, there's a decent chance that Radins could be the starting right guard. Is kind of how I feel.
And let's be honest, Brunskill has won in life.
No doubt.
Congratulations to him.
Oh yeah,
no doubt.
There's no competition that he hasn't won.
No, he can just walk out in the sunset. But yeah. And shout out to Big Coach. Got honored as the Pro Football Writer Association. Was it the Dr. Z Award? Him and Steve over there in Kansas City. Yeah, Spagnola. They got honored for their lifetime achievement as assistant coaches at a position group. And a shout out to him. And I think we're seeing that. And we already kind of knew that coming into what he was going to be. But yeah, we look at Brunskill. They moved him over to center for this mandatory minicamp. I think on the depth chart, Xavier Godwin out of Liberty is the backup center currently, who is an undrafted free agent. Like, he's got something there, but he's not by any means a NFL 53-man guy. So
Malik Willis connection.
Malik Willis connection, exactly.
Were they on the same team together at any point?
Had to be.
I believe so. I know. Yeah. I think Godwin was actually a transfer at some point, so I'm not sure they were actually on the same team together. Now that I think about it,
Malik going into year 3 now, right? So, oh yeah,
it's possible.
Maybe, yeah.
We drafted another roommate or signed one.
Yeah, Malik's in the room, guys. Listen,
they'll really enjoy that Holiday Inn as they're on the practice squad later this season. But I really like what we saw out of Shadiq Charles, and this is a guy that that's the Lloyd Cushenberry connection. They were on that same team with Joe Burrow back in the day when they won the national championship. Stoney in the comments says Brunskill moving to center and should just stay at center as the backup, which I'm not ruling out either.
Stoney should know if that guy was Willis' teammate too.
Yeah. Do some research for us, Stoney. Find out if they would actually play together. But then on the right tackle position, that's the hard one for me, just because right now we got John Ojukwu out there really taking starter reps, and don't like that. I did like what I saw out of John last season, but I don't think he's starter caliber. I think this is Nick West, not Westford. You got me on an NWI rant earlier. NPF rant. NPF is his job to lose, and unfortunately, he's not out there. So that's going to be the
unfortunately,
hardest
he's currently losing it. So
yes, exactly.
On his day off.
Yeah, man. How you get fired on your day off?
We'll see. Again, we're blowing it out of proportion, right?
Boxes.
Like, let's wait until training camp. If he's not out there at training camp, then I'm going to point some fingers. But other than that, I mean, I'm not going to jump.
I don't think we are. I mean, we're saying that it's concerning that he's not there. He hasn't played in over a year, and I don't think
it's an entire offseason and you're rehabbing still or whatever it is. I don't love it.
It's not the same as the ones that are complaining about Devontae Sweat and L'Jarius Sneed. Let's just draw that line and say this is a completely different situation. He needs to be out there, especially fighting for the job. He needs to be out there. He needs to get the reps. He definitely needs the coaching. So he needs to be out there.
100% agree. I think this offense's biggest hurdle maybe this season after the O-line is just staying on schedule. And I hate to bring it up again because we've talked about it the last couple of weeks, is Will Levis's temperament. Can he take those easy throws when it's 3rd and short, or if he has Chigakonkwo in the flat at 1st and 10, opposed to just using that yeet cannon and throwing it into no man's land? And the Mike Vrabel run pass on every drive has been vanquished to the shadow realm, thankfully. But my question to you, B-Will, is this year we see this team become more feared through the air than on the ground. My biggest note was the Titans have scored more touchdowns rushing than passing every year since 2020. Since COVID, the team has hasn't had more passing touchdowns or rushing touchdowns.
That's insane. That's really that's really bad. But I don't think that we'll be feared just yet. Like, I don't think defensive coordinators are gonna, by week 6 just play too high on us like they did with Mahomes. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think teams are gonna challenge us, and that's been my biggest worry. So the thing that'll hold us back, like you said, would be Levis's temperament. Being on schedule, and then Callahan's play calling as a first-year play caller. But then also another thing that can hold us back is our lack of dynamism or dynamism. I don't even know how to say the word, but the dynamicness.
I don't know what that word is.
Just we don't have as much.
It means.
Yeah, we need some dynamicness in receivers. We need somebody that's going to make some stuff happen off schedule. We don't have that. That's going to be probably my second biggest worry behind Levis's temperament. In the case of teams are going to walk up to the line of scrimmage and challenge us. Hopkins struggled with the press compared to, previous in his career last year. I mean, that's documented. Ridley struggled against the press. That's documented compared to, other situations. So teams are going to walk up and challenge us and get in our grill. And when you do that, it just opens up all types of things with the pass rush as well. So that's what I'm worried about. And it's going to take Levis to have some composure in those situations, and we'll see how that goes. But that's why it's for me. And Chig can be that guy, but I'm not falling for the Chig prop again this year to be that safety valve guy that can make something happen after the catch. I'm not falling for it. I would like to see us get a slot receiver in that mold, but we didn't. So we'll see. Those are my biggest concerns: the lack of dynamism and the temperament.
Well, Chig is the best player on our team according to PFF, so you should give him some respect.
According to Titans media, too. I mean, we see so much of this guy.
I don't know. Josh Whlye'd's getting some love this week. And we've talked about him on the show a couple times now that he could be pushing for tight end 1. I think it's ultimately going to be 1A, 1B kind of thing, or 2A, 2B, in my opinion. But he's getting some love this week. I liked what I saw.
I saw it Whlye'd last year.
Yeah.
When he's healthy.
No doubt.
No, he started out real slow last season, and I think that left a lot of sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths. And then as he started picking up down the stretch, we're like, okay, we got something here. He got injured. So I think a lot of fans just forget that.
Right. I think at a position like tight end with Josh Whlye, and this is different with quarterback, but with tight end, with how gracefully they age, kind of, sort of, depending on who they are, you can really look at the highs of their rookie season and sort of try and cascade that out to see like how you grade them, in my opinion. You can't really do that with the quarterback because their lows determine, their performance too. But tight end, if they have some highs like Whlye had, I mean, that's somebody you can be excited about.
No doubt. He's a traditional type tight end as well, right? So
yes,
I feel like that's Callahan's kind of bread and butter. He needed somebody like that. Whereas Chig is great, But he's kind of like another, receiver out there, which in some ways makes it fun and dynamic, I'm sure, from a play calling and play design standpoint. But at the same time, sometimes you need a guy who can just go up there and get bigger than the backer that they're lined up against, get bigger than, a safety, whatever, and win those 50-50 balls up the seam, that type of thing. So, and I think Whlye'd provides that. So I am excited. He's a player that I was really high on towards the end of last season, along with Otis Reese, who kind of just like came on the scene really quick. And I guess for Whlye'd, the way we expected him to after being a bona fide draft pick. And for Otis, I felt like it was kind of like a nice surprise. But yeah, really high on him in the tight end group. It feels kind of strange. Who do you think wins that tight end 3 job, though? Or do they – I mean, certainly they keep a third tight end, but who is it?
It's got to be what's-his-face that they just
Nick
signed here recently. Yeah, it's got to be Nick Vannett. They're going to have a blocking role in there. He might not get utilized a lot, but when they come into those – jumbo packages, I think he's going to be the one to come on the field, in my opinion.
I think Simmons is a tight end 3 more than anybody.
Simmons and Sweat, they both got experience now.
I bet you, like, goal line, Simmons is in there before the other guy. Watch. I mean, he probably is. The thing, and I like what you said about Chig, though, about he's more of a receiver, and I don't know if he's more of a receiver, but he's more of a running back than he is a tight end, in my opinion. The guy can be, I mean, you see the times we've lined him up in the backfield. He's closer to a running back than he is a prototypical tight end. Type body-wise, I mean, what he can do running routes and stuff. This guy isn't beating no corners.
Bro, after the catch, he is dynamic, bro.
He's dynamic.
That's the one thing you could.
He's got the dynamic
props on. When he gets the ball in his hand, when he gets the ball in his hand, bro, he does not go down after first contact. So yeah, I mean that's a big part of the game that I love about him. Like the big, I guess it was really a run, maybe it was a bubble screen, but the big play that he broke open against the Chiefs. I think it was a year or two ago. That was huge. The ball that he caught at Indy and it literally took like 5 defenders to tackle him. I mean, this guy is dynamic with the ball in his hand. So I think that, again, like just evaluating the offense and the weapons, that Chig, I think when he's in a rotation of guys where he's not the main guy and they can move him around and maybe disguise some plays, get the ball in his hands quick, he's good. He's really good. He had that Jonnu Smith look to him, in his rookie season, and last year just kind of got cut short a little bit because of injuries and stuff. But I'm pretty high on Chig, and I think that Brian's gonna find a good way to use him.
I just think we have to realize that he's a gadget guy, and we're not in the position where we can have the luxury of a gadget guy right now. I mean, we might have that later on in the season, but that's what I see Chig as a gadget guy. That's what I see him as.
To him. I think there's going to be his plays. He's going to have 3 or 4 a game that they're going to bring him out and have him as the primary target. That's kind of how I see it. They're going to try to leak him out and get him open and allow him to have an easy catch, and then let him do what he does best.
Who's that slot receiver we had post Kendall Wright? It was a gadget guy that we had that we used in that manner. Who? No, not Chester Rogers. It was around Chester Rogers. It was after Kendall Wright.
Man, the first name that comes to mind is Tajay Sharp, but I wouldn't really consider him a gadget guy.
No, this is a gadget guy. This is a gadget guy that we use in that manner. And it wasn't Kendall Wright. I'll have to look it up. But that's who I see us using Chig like.
And then shout out maybe Trey McBride. I could see that. That's Stoney commented in the comments. And shout out to Stoney. Gatlin transfer from Liberty from Tulsa. I did know he did transfer, and it's unfortunate to me. It's from my hometown.
Jake's backyard.
Yeah. And so he didn't play with Malik Willis. I knew he transferred. I had that in the back of my mind. And then Chig was catching passes from Malik Willis on Monday. So you have to assume that's third team behind Mason Rudolph. I mean, they're going to be rotating. So that's going to be something to monitor.
It's one of the first places you heard Chig might not be tight end 1. Morning Glory Show. We said it, a month or 2 ago.
440 has been on it too. I've heard them. And then shout out to Stoney. Since he's been helping us out, I just got a notification just a few minutes ago that he's got his Retro Rewind article out on Stacking the Inbox. Go give them your $5 so you can check that out. Covering John Ojukwu, who we talked about earlier. So if you need some of that info, hop over there onto their little Stacking the Inbox. But I think that's a good transition. We got some player comps that we're going to talk about next. And we're going in depth. We've gone into the well. And as we're pulling these up, I can go ahead and start us off. And we're going to go 2 each, and we'll just go around in a circle. I'll go first. B-Will can go second. Jonathan can go third. And we'll just make it a little quick circle. So I'm going to take us back. We're going to start in a galaxy far, far away. And we're going to start with Chidobe Awuzie as Chewbacca. He is Chewbacca is my comparison for Chidobe. And hear me out. He's the ultimate sidekick to Han Solo, but athletically and intellectually, and maybe even consistently, on a more consistent basis, being out there in practice, maybe not on the field, he has all the intangibles to be a CB1, but he has the benefit of being the sidekick on this team. We saw him out there. He's destroying droids. He's smashing in stormtroopers' faces in. Relative athletically, he's the most athletic corner we have on this team, outside of maybe Caleb Farley. But with the injuries, and of course, it's probably taken a step back. So Chidobe is very consistent in what he does out there, and I just really love how Chidobe is kind of, since his initial presser, this is a universally loved character. Not only from Titans fans, but from Cincinnati fans. They still love him over there. I mean, JT Runke over there on the Hot Read podcast, he's the producer over there. He's a Cincinnati fan. He had nothing but rave reviews about Chidobe and how he did not like losing them. So I'm going to just kick us off. Chidobe Awuzie is Chewbacca. Any thoughts on that?
I like it. I can see it.
I after the explanation, I got it, but that definitely kicked this off in a strange way, which made me feel better about whatever I did. With
We're getting fucking weird today on a Thursday morning at the Morning Glory show.
Yes, we are.
So let's go ahead. B-Will, you are up.
So I was gonna go with Tajay Spears, but then something just popped in my head about Dr. Gibby that we talked about, or Gibbs Racing, or Gibb. I don't, whatever they call his nickname
Racing.
now. I look at him and I see his performance on the field, and I see how reliant he is on his teammates, but I see how intelligent he is. And I go to Jimmy Neutron. That's who I think of when I see Dr. Gibby, Gibbs Racing, Gibbs. And it's because he has all the intelligence in the world, but sometimes he's relying on some of his coworkers and his cast members to help him figure things out, with Gibby. So I could definitely see that. All the intelligence, you need that person in the room to think through difficult situations, and Gibby can be that guy.
That's solid.
I fucking love it. I
can get down with
I had one for Gibbs that I was thinking about, and I had him as 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, and body soap. He's got the intelligence, the intensity. He's got the leadership, but
he's good at 3 things, but he's not great at.
I don't know if he's healthy for me. Every man goes through that stage. They're like, it's just easy, but I don't know if it's actually good for me. So, similar thoughts. All right, Jonathan, where are we going with?
Let's peel off the Band-Aid, man. So one of the guys that I went with is my guy Traylon Burks. Okay, the president and CEO of the Traylon Burks fan club. First, before I give this comparison, I have to share something that I was almost crying tears. I was laughing so hard yesterday. Paul Kuharsky posted one of his camp videos showing the wideouts, and they were running like a cool, like quick in and out drill or whatever. And Traylon is in the background. Same as D-Hop. D-Hop does like this weird like running thing and just kind of like dances off the frame. And then slowly as the drills are going through, you see Traylon just kind of walk out of frame also. So he doesn't do the drill. He's huffing, bro. Hands on his hips, just sucking wind. And then towards the end of the video, Paul completely turns the camera behind himself and finds Traylon. And Traylon, again, just hands on his hip, breathing hard. And you can tell Traylon catches him at the corner of his eyes, and he goes, "Man, y'all got to document everything." And Paul's like, "Yep." And then he just slowly pans away, and the video ends. But Traylon is so pissed off that they are recording him Like, bro, come on. Can I not like be tired without you guys having a camera on me? So I just thought it was funny because a part of me was like, yikes, like that is not a good look. Like, bro is then he's like, I can't do this drill. I'm tired. So whatever the case may be, it was just funny. Like the discourse around Treylon Burks is just fascinating. The poor guy's been set up to fail, and it's just been awful. But here's my comparison, okay? Treylon Burks is your uncle's old muscle car, all right? It's old, it's beat up, it's rough around the edges. This thing keeps having things come up wrong with it. You fix the alternator, then something happens with the wheels, and then all of a sudden you got something in the back wrong, on the bumper's busted, like all these different things. But it's so damn cool, and you just want it to live forever. And so it sticks around, and you just like, man, this thing is so cool. But if you drive it, there's a good chance that if someone hits you, like this could be a fatal crash. So that's the best way that I can describe my man, Treylon Burks. It sounds awful, but man, I feel like as of right now, that's the best comp I got for him.
Treylon Burks' offseason has just been a fucking roller coaster.
No doubt.
Starts really low. Then we've suiting him up for his gold jacket last week, comparing him to T.O. And now he's fighting for a roster spot as a fucking gunner. What are we doing?
How do you go from getting compared to Terrell Owens, and then 3 days later you're a gunner on a team that went 5-11? I don't get it, man.
Oh, we had 6 wins.
6? Jeez.
Could have probably been 5.
6-11.
I think that's a testament to the talent that you've added in front of him, which is a good thing. All of these things are good things. It looks awful from a fan standpoint, or if you're evaluating his career, like, oh, what's next for him? It looks bad because it's like, oh, bro, he got bumped off. But these are all good things for Treylon Burks. If he shows what he needs to show, he'll be okay. And who knows if he will. And that's why I guess this storyline is so interesting to everybody. And he was a first-round pick, so you got to pay the piper at some point. And so that's why I feel like all the criticism he's received is fair. We just have to see it. I believe he will. And I think he will because of the situation. He doesn't have to go out there and be A.J. Brown. He can just go be productive, show what he needs to show, take his strides, stay healthy, and we'll be all right. So muscle car, bro. He can be one of the coolest cars at the show, and at the same time, you can get in a wreck on the way there. You got to be careful.
I think he'll be doing what he loves within 5 years, and that is coaching Arkansas football and hunting vlogs. And fishing.
He's gonna be coaching at like
he don't love football.
Old? I don't know.
He's gonna be one of them guys.
Time and effort and just heart
and money.
This guy that's gonna have 300 to 400 yards. He's making the 53-man roster. I think we can all agree on that. But is he gonna produce? All right, so that's the first round. We'll go back around one more time. This one, I've had a couple that I've had written down, like erase it, type it back up. And that's Will Levis. And I came really close to just saying, this is Bradley Cooper's character from The Hangover Part 2. But and we can get into that too. But ultimately, I've decided Will Levis is breakfast for dinner, as Brenner, as some might say. When you have it from time to time, it can be top tier. It can be the best dinner you've ever had.
I mean, that's Waffle House, baby.
Biscuits and gravy. Exactly. It can be transformative. But if I'm having that for dinner every dinner, it might get a little bit old. It might have some ups and downs. And ultimately, I think it's going to be really good, but there's going to be some bad with it too, was how I kind of see it breaking down. The Bradley Cooper one is pretty similar. We didn't go Hangover 1. Let's not be crazy. We went Hangover 2.
Yeah, not too much.
They've gotten a little Bradley Cooper in the movie, he's kind of the leader of that group. They go through some craziness in the first one, which I'm counting as Mike Vrabel's crew. And then we come in part 2, and we got the everything going on in Bangkok. He wakes up, he's dodging bullets throughout that movie. So, and then they come out on top at the end. So that's kind of how I was seeing that one. But yeah, Will Levis.
I'm gonna go Rashard Weaver here, and I don't know if this is positive, but I mean, My comparison to him is a bad Broadway bouncer. He's letting everybody in. And we're talking about his run defense as well. He lets everybody pass him. No edge defense. He's not rushing the passer. So if a guy gets out and he's in trouble, he's not rushing and chasing him down. He's just not good. And as a Broadway dancer, or not dancer, as a Broadway bouncer,
I like Broadway dancer better. I'm gonna be honest.
He's gotten some more. He's gotten a little more athletic. We've seen him gotten out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some quick feet.
Yeah, and he's the Broadway bouncer he's the guy that complains about his pay but doesn't do anything more to get more pay. Like he complained about getting fined, but you were late. You know what I mean? So he just, and respect to all the bouncers on Broadway. This is not anything derogatory to y'all. It's derogatory to Rashad Weaver. But he's lost, man. He's lost.
The Morning Glory show has been known for being pro bouncer. We know that.
Yes.
That's lore.
Yes. That is. I like
Rashad Weaver. And it's not just because, I met him in person and he's a good dude, but I like him as a talent at this point going into this year. There's a recurring theme where it's like, look, do we get burned by the same players that we've seen be not productive for us, right? Or are we optimistic that maybe this coaching change, this regime change is drastic enough that there's enough there to build around? And so I guess I always lean optimism, and that's not always the case. And certainly when you break it down, like from a statistic standpoint, there's going to be some of these players are going to fail. It's just going to happen, right? Not all of them are going to be these butterflies that grow into these amazing players. But I am pretty optimistic about guys like Weaver and Caleb Murphy, because I think there's a high athletic upside there. They have more opportunity this year to come in and be rotational guys that actually make an impact. And I like some of the change that we've seen. It seems like as soon as this regime came in, they looked at their current players and said, okay, this is where you need to be. Rashad, you need to drop some weight and get lighter. Radens, you need to add some weight. Peter, you need to add some weight, that type of thing. So I like it. We'll see. But, man, Weave's my guy. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he didn't watch some of these shows. It'd be hilarious if he popped in right around that time.
Yeah.
And this is in the comments. Make you solid.
Yeah, Rashad, if you're say something.
And this is my lack of optimism for some of these guys like Weaver and Burks is because of the attitude. That's my optimism. But I understand that the attitude can change because, there's a different regime now, and, their attitude might suck under Vrabel because Vrabel's doing bull. It's very possible.
I've been an asshole working for some people. And sometimes, like, you guys know how it is, I'm sure. When you have a bad boss to your, like, maybe you're not jiving. It's not that Vrabel's clearly not a bad football coach. He's a very good football coach. But maybe you just weren't jiving with their leadership and kind of how they teach, right? And when that happens, you kind of turn off. It's easy to shut off and be like, you know what, man, I don't got to deal with this type thing. So, and as a young person, you're even more susceptible to that behavior, right? Like when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s and I had a bad boss, which happened multiple times, I was not my best self, but like far from it. And I didn't learn that until I got a little older and self-reflected and worked hard and got good bosses and was like, oh, this is how this is supposed to be. I get it. So again, you could highlight it as an excuse, and we don't want to do that. But I do think it's important to understand, like, that switch up of leadership can sometimes make a big difference. And Vrabel, what we know about him is he was a tough love type of guy. Like, he wasn't going to pat you on your back and be like, hey, you'll get there, buddy. We got your support. And sometimes switching that up is all a player needs to be like, okay, I can turn this on because now I'm being put on, which is kind of how I feel about Will Levis, by the way, and several other players. But yeah, I kind of feel like there's a huge switch in that. And so we'll see. Again, I lean optimism. It's not going to happen for all of them, but I'm optimistic about Weaver in terms of being like a good rotational pass rusher. I don't think he's going to be the guy who starts on the edge for you next year necessarily, but he should come in and add some quality reps.
Dude, I think Vrabel was probably the best Coach Levis could have had first year for his temperament. Honestly. Like, he tampered Levis down a little bit, and Levis needed that. I mean, the game was going to do it
I think
already.
he did need that at that time.
He needed it though.
But I didn't love how he treated him after the debut. I was like,
he might have went a little too far.
But I do agree with you.
I liked it, but it
kind
of went down and kind of went back. Yeah, I see that. And then this second edge position, I mean, it's up for grabs. Arden Key obviously is in that position now, but it's not his forever. And
Arden Key's the bouncer that's just making jokes and shit all night.
Yeah,
and
Arden Key is the bad boss.
Yeah.
And then shout out to Caleb Murphy, of course, and Braden Gall was high on Thomas Rush yesterday.
That boy looked good.
He looks good, and he's an athlete too. He's coming out of he's from Minnesota, if I remember correctly. He was only a 1-year starter, but he's got some things that you really like. Maybe he can be developed under this new core. And I'm not writing him off either. So this position is up for grabs. And I think if it's not Key, Weaver's got to be in that second spot as of right now. All right.
It'll be a rotation.
Stoney's got one in the comments. Tajay Spears, which you were going to bring up Tajay Spears. Nightcrawler from the X-Men. He's a little short. He kind of hops into that hole and disappears at time. And then he's in the open field making mid-miss. So I could definitely see that.
Hold on, I got my second one, Jake. I have my second one.
You do.
I don't think it's great necessarily, but maybe it'll whatever. So my second one is Caleb Farley. Caleb Farley, if I had spent a ton of time on this, I probably could have come up with a better comp, but I think that this kind of matches and makes sense. Caleb Farley to me is a high school transfer senior. It's a dude that lives across the city. Went to a different competitor high school. You heard about him. He's cool. He's got the look. He's got the swag. And he transfers over, and you're like, man, what is this guy about? It's our senior year. It's the last year. We've heard a lot of cool things about this. What kind of person is this kid? What kind of friend could he be? All these different things. Like Caleb, obviously has gone through tragic beginning to this young man's life. Just in the past, 10 years or so, he's lost both of his parents. And has gone through some really serious injuries when it comes to, on the scale of injuries that could be serious. He's had some of the worst ones with his neck and his spine. And I think that for him, talent wise, I mean, God, he could be the guy. He could be a guy. But we saw so little of him early on, and then he's been hurt since. So it's just literally been, we have almost little to no tape on this guy, and the tape we do have as a pro is not good. But man, when you look at his ability, he's got all the intangibles. And so Denard Wilson spoke about it, I think yesterday, where he mentioned that, he's been a true pro. He's been in the room. He's been learning a ton and really taking advantage of the time off the field, trying to get better. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask a guy to do. So we'll see. We'll see if he's been able to put it together. He's had a lot of time to watch film. He's had a lot of time to, improve his game off the field. So we'll see if he puts it together. But yeah, Caleb Farley, that's such a bad comparison. A high school transfer senior.
It ended it on a better note of where we were going.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, Caleb Farley, I think he's just resilient for what he's gone through, for where he is now. If anything can come about it, I think everybody is cheering for the kid.
No doubt.
He had a pass breakup on Traylon Burks the other day. He's gotten beat a couple times too, but the dude needs reps. He was a transfer from wide receiver to cornerback 2 years before he got drafted as a first-round pick. Hasn't seen a lot of time at the position, and then since he's been in the league, hasn't had a lot of time either. So there's still development stuff that can take place. And if the body is healthy, some of those traits are still there. So yeah. I do think he can definitely become something, if only a special teamer, a gunner. He's going to earn his way.
But what do y'all think about Nick Westbrook-Akina's comp being a cicada?
Okay.
He just always pops up. He just always pops up. You know he's coming. You can't do nothing about it. He just always appears, and he's everywhere once he appears.
My comp for Nick Westbrook-Akina is Arby's. Underrated. He got some good-ass fries, and they are hated by the masses by most views. So,
yeah.
That's Stoney with another one. Caleb Farley is the missing child on the milk carton. He's been gone, but you're really hoping he gets found.
Yes, you are.
That's a better one. That one's better than mine,
that.
Stoney. We'll notch that in. We can sub Stoney in on that one. That was better.
I love it. But we're going to move on to our draft, guys. That gives us all of our player comps. Today, we got best football foods. But fantasy football drafts are coming up. We got week 1. That's not at home, so you might be chilling at the house, at the crib. Super Bowl, you got to have those foods. We're big pro football podcast over here. But if you guys are joining us for the first time, we do this every week. We end up with each show with the draft. Today, I have the 101. B-Will's got the 102. Jonathan is on the turn after having the 101.
Right. When are we going to take a stand,
where he
Jonathan?
belongs, bro.
Yeah, I was about to say, when are we going to take a stand?
Man, I see it every week in the chat, and I'm like, yep. I can't even get mad this week. I had the 101 last week, so it's okay. I'll take my spot in the.
I'm trying to rotate it to where after you have the 101, you'll go to the third pick, and then we'll just move up. We got some fun ones coming up though. So I'm starting out with the 101, and I'm going chalk here. I mean, it's pretty easy to start this one off, and you got to go pizza. I mean, it's just universally loved. It's pretty generic. But I do think it is the clear 101.
The Slim and Huskies pizza in the stadium. 100%.
Fire.
Yep.
Absolute gas.
I got 2.
You got 2.
Are we just talking like the stadium food?
Wait. Why does he have 2?
No. It's just all football food.
I traded up.
Oh, you have one. Sorry, I thought you meant I have 2 picks. Sorry.
No. You will have 2 picks after B will.
I will. Yeah.
I'm gonna say chicken wings are definitely my number 1 pick. I mean, you can't go wrong with chicken wings, fried, grilled, smoked, whatever.
Wings
can't
are the
go wrong with
101.
it.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, wings are.
Those are the top 2, regardless.
Yeah.
And
Gotta go wings.
2 I had to go wings.
Damn it.
Gotta go wings. And I would go chicken in general with the Princess chicken they got at the stadium. Very, very, very good. And hot as shit if you let it. It's really hot.
Yeah, we were actually talking about it before the show, man. The food in the stadium has been huge, absolutely huge. Yes, that's the one I was talking about. It has hot honey on it, Stoney, and it is incredible. It is so good. If you guys go to the stadium this year, hopefully they bring it back. Get that Slim and Huskies Nashville hot chicken. It's got hot honey on it. It's delectable. Not so much when you're sitting on the visitor's side and you're getting absolutely cooked by the sun, and then you're super dehydrated because you drank at a tailgate, and then you're just eating the spicy chicken like your body's like, bro, time out. What are we doing? Very, very Nashville thing though. So on brand. All right. So I have back-to-back picks. This is kind of tough because I'm not I don't eat these a lot, but I do think that they're an elite sports food in general. And I'm going to go with nachos. I'm going to roll with nachos. I don't love the pick, but I have to respect it as a first round pick.
Yeah. Got to trust the board.
For sure. Now, the second one is interesting because there's a sports food on here that is classic, bro. Absolute classic, but I don't want to pick it because it's not my preference. But I'm going to, again, trust the board, trust the process, and we're going to go with hot dogs.
Yeah. Okay. Hot dogs, you can't go wrong with hot dogs for sure.
You can't. Classic sports food.
No. I think we've hit a clear tear drop after those first-round picks.
Yep.
And now it's really...
I don't know about that, man.
Okay.
Where are we going? There's a secret banger on here.
Yeah, we got barbecue, whether it's pulled pork or brisket. Can't go wrong with that. Barbecue sandwiches.
Yep. That's a good one.
That's going to be my number 2 pick. You cannot go wrong with that. Throw it over some barbecue sauce over top of it, or you smoked it all night before. Can't go wrong with that.
No.
So I don't know if we want to do barbecue.
Yeah, I just put BBQ. That's all.
Yeah, BBQ.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm back up, and I got back-to-back picks here. And, I mean, I view a lot of these as the same tier. But maybe my favorite out of this tier, we're going with chili. We're going to start with chili.
Okay.
Football.
Chili,
especially if we were in a colder climate. Like if we were the Bills, chili might have been, based on need in the draft, right? might have been first rounder. I mean, value and need, scheme fit, could very well see it in the first round.
When we kick off this season early on, it's going to be a sleeper, but by the end of the year, it's going to be up there. You're not no longer sleeping on it. And then for my second pick, I'm going Pigs in a Blanket.
Yeah.
Maybe doesn't get the love that it deserves, but I do see it as maybe one of those little sleepers down there. Don't go Pigs in a Blanket and Chili. And then B-Will, you're back up.
I'm gonna go probably. This isn't really a food that you necessarily sit down and eat, but it's something you can snack on. Well, actually, no, you can. It's a dessert, so I'd say funnel cakes. You can go with funnel cakes.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
Especially at the stadium, their funnel cakes. The funnel cakes are fire, man. You can't go wrong with their funnel cakes. So that's my little starter pack for those that don't know. When I go to the games, probably when I walk in, before I get there, I try to get there before warm-ups so I can see just the guys warm up and shit because I love to see that. But I normally don't get there until about 11:50 at the 12 o'clock kickoff.
I'm rolling in at the last minute.
I'm rolling in at 11:50, running in. So I'll stop at Slim and Husky's, get me the large pizza, the little personal pizza, thing of fries, and then halftime I'll hit the funnel cake, and then we're good.
No doubt.
And I sort of got a process.
Love it.
All right, well, this one, how the heck did it slide? You know what I'm saying? I'm going with fries, boys. It's a side item, sure. Yep. You don't only eat fries, but fries got to be on every plate on football Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So fries is a good one. And then for the last one, this is a very tough call because there are 3 items that I think make a ton of sense. So maybe some will be left over. I'll leave you guys some. But I'm going to go with another one that is just classic, not only just classic for like football Sundays, but just classic sport. If we were talking baseball food, this is a first round pick. Okay. And I'm going to go with pretzels.
Yep.
That would have been my pick. Some pretzels and cheese. Hell yeah.
Pretzels and peanuts.
No doubt.
Man, that
peanuts are a go-to. I was going to go peanuts.
That's a good one.
You're going to go peanuts?
I was.
Okay.
But you still got something else that you could say too.
Well, it's your pick.
It's your pick. He went fries and pretzels.
Oh, I'm going popcorn for sure. Popcorn.
Okay.
Can't go wrong with popcorn.
Classic for sure.
Yeah.
Cannot go wrong with popcorn. I mean, I'm just going through my process. If I, from game to game, whatever I get, what I get, I walk in. I don't, it's just, if I don't do the pizza and fries, I'm going to do the funnel cake and popcorn.
Hell yeah. All right. So, man, I'm up on the last one. And there's maybe 3 that I'm really debating between, but there's a clear standout here. Oh. And that's some jalapeno poppers. You take some jalapenos. You can wrap it in bacon before you deep fry. Yeah, the versatile, always good. Cream cheese on anything's good. Let's just keep it 100. But that wraps it up. Jonathan
not bad.
Went nachos, hot dogs, fries, and pretzels. B-Will went
absolute bangers.
Chicken wings, barbecue, funnel cakes, and popcorn. And I went pizza, chili, pigs in a blanket, and jalapeno poppers.
That nachos pick, man. That's like drafting a tackle first round.
Hey, and sometimes
it's not pretty.
It's
not a pretty pick, but it's gonna last.
I thought fries in the 3rd round was a steal.
Oh. My steal of the draft has to be popcorn in the last round. I think it wasn't even on my board. I think
my funnel cake pick might have been the Devondre Sweat reach. But we really like the guy, so
hey, he's gonna do well for you. Two honorable mentions, Rotel dip or like cheese dip. I mean that one.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like if you're at a party, you're at home, it's there. Potluck, it's there, guaranteed. The other one is mozzarella sticks. Another side doesn't quite. We're as soon as the draft ends, we're getting on the phone. We're calling mozzarella sticks. We got to get them in the building. But yeah, those
corn dogs
mentions.
Corn dogs,
turkey legs.
Yep.
Oh, turkey legs. I didn't think about that. Spinach artichoke dip.
I sort of threw turkey legs in there with barbecue. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think those are all good. You can use cheese balls, some corn crack dip. I had sliders on my board.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dubs.
Yep. You got to eat it. Jameis Winston. that
Who
wraps
does
it up
wrong,
for the
Cleveland?
show today, boys. I hope you guys all enjoyed it in the chat. If you're checking us out for a time, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you drop in the comment who your favorite draft was. And we'll check you guys out same time, same place next week. We love you. Mean it. Peace.
Gotta have a charcuterie set up.